vision lost, a voice denied. They raised their fists, they swore to fight. They marched for ours, they cried for change, demanded justice, bore the pain. And when the battle met its end, they won, but lost themselves again. The fire they lit now scorches the land, a beacon of hope now blackened to...
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Thursdays, the Watchtower, where we talk all things DC. Hope you enjoy this little song playing in the background. This is The Cult That Burned Itself. It's pretty cool. You can find it on my YouTube channel. You can find it on YouTube, and just a little heads up, you might be able to find it on Spotify and Apple Music, maybe, possibly. Go check it out, maybe. Anyways, how's it going, everyone? Glad that you could all make it here and hang out with me. I'm going to turn that off now because it's really loud in my ears. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Anyways, we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week. Well, not a lot, but there's a good bit to talk about when it comes to DC. So let's get into it. Let's see who's all here. And what's going on? We got Donovan, Martin, and Trayvon in here. How's it going, guys? Oh, geez. I tell you what. We need a lot more DC news to drop, like news. Like, we got some interesting things and stuff to talk about here, but we don't have any like crazy DC news to discuss. There's some interesting topics to dive into, but man, what I want some juicy morsels of information to come out like we had a few weeks ago. I do miss that. A few weeks ago, man, it was just information heavy, and we just don't have it. But that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes you get some weeks where there's a lot of information. You get some weeks where there's not a lot. We got Derpy in here, Derpy Entertainment. My glorious king, he says. How's it going, Derpy Entertainment? Oh, man. I do want to say this, that there was quite a stir on social media the other day, on my social media, on my X to be exact. Like, man, my X was blowing up the other day, and it's shocking to me how people come at me and they're like, oh, you just hate the Snyder Cult lives rent free in your head, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And they actually the other day just came at me, which was really bizarre. So I thought that was kind of funny. Anyways, Derpy Entertainment asked me, did you check the lineup, Slav, at the con I'm going to? I didn't get a chance to. My nights are crazy before my show on Thursdays, especially just getting dinner, getting kids ready for bed, everything like that. Really, and today was just a hectic day. Like, I didn't even get my show even scheduled until, what was it, like 6:30, 7 o'clock today. Like, oh man, it was a busy day for me. So I didn't get a chance to take a look at it. But let's see. We got Trayvon. The night is darkest just before the dawn. Always remember that. Great line from The Dark Knight. Donovan says, feels like the calm before the storm before CinemaCon. Yes. He also says, Superman is about to change lives. I hope that's true. I do hope that's true. All right, let's jump into the first thing I want to talk about here. That is not the first thing I want to talk about. As always, I like to highlight the fan art and things that we see across the web. And Shazzy Boy 50 shared this about a week ago, or so, not even a week ago. I thought this was a great picture here. And look, I'm not a big fan of the logo on the cape. You all know that, but I still think this is a cool photo. So I wanted to share that. And one more, we got Job Hut posted, don't have much time lately to work on new stuff. So here are some wallpapers for my latest work. And it is of Millie Alcock as Supergirl. Now, we have no idea what she's going to look like in her suit, but this is just a guess from Job Hut. And this looks really, really cool. Again, I love to just highlight the fan art that people put out there. So again, in my Discord, you can find the link in the description for Discord. You can go there, you can share. There's a little channel in Discord where you can share fan art. I love sharing it. You put it there. All right. With that, apparently, This standee was seen out in the wild at a theater. According to DCU updates, standees are beginning to arrive in theaters. So be on the lookout if you're heading to the theater to go see Snow White. Who's going to go see that movie? But if you are heading to the theater anytime within the next week or two, maybe even the next couple weeks, be on the lookout. Now, this looks like it's Film Day. James Gunn. I don't know different languages. So is this Brazil? Is it? I don't know. Well, I don't know what language that is. But regardless, it looks like it's in a foreign country from America. But other than America, but be on the lookout. You may start seeing standees and different types of marketing being put out there. Because guys, I don't know if you remember me saying this, but I said months ago that when we get to about 4 months from the movie, that's when the marketing is going to really start to pick up. And here we are, 4 months away, and you're going to start seeing marketing really start to pick up. And then the bulk of it's going to pick up once they start showing, once they get that first trailer out. And then the last 2 months, boom, it's going to really just explode. So get ready, guys. It's coming. It's exciting. And with that, more products were shown out in the world. Looks like a lunchbox, a Superman lunchbox, was seen out on the shelves, and it's a new look at David Corenswet right here on the tag. And boy, does he look good as Superman. And as Resident Justice says, David really looks like Superman. Man's got the aura. He really does. He looks great as Superman. And the crazier thing, when you sit here and you take a look at this, we know Resident Justice. He's jumped on the streams and he's talked in the chats and everything like that. We know he's a fan. We know he's looking forward to this. But somebody who has been a little back and forth when it comes to the DCU is Film Junkie. And he goes, new look at Corenswet Superman. The logo has really grown on me. That was why they showed the logo. That is why they showed things months and months ago, to slowly get people comfortable with the look. That's what it's all about. That is why you start showing just little bits and pieces months and months and months ago. You don't show everything immediately. You don't show everything right away. You show things months in advance, little tidbits, little morsels, and it builds, and people get comfortable with seeing that logo, with seeing Corenswet as Superman, with seeing the new suit, with seeing the new universe. So when the movie comes out, people know, okay, it's not Henry Cavill. Okay, it's not the same universe that it was 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever the last movie came out. That's kind of how the marketing is going. That's how they're pushing this movie out. I've seen people sit there and say, look, we had some pictures. I'm not going to talk about those photos, the behind the scenes photos that James Gunn shared the other day on tonight necessarily. I'm not going to pull them up, but he posted the Edie Gathegi behind the scenes with Lois, and then he posted that one with the engineer. And people were like, oh, he's showing behind the scenes stuff for a Superman movie without Superman. First off, there's other characters in the movie besides Superman, and it's okay to highlight those characters. And then people are sitting there saying they're not using Superman because they're not confident in Superman. They're not confident in the movie. No, they're perfectly fine and confident in this movie. There's no basis that they're not confident in this film. They're actually very confident in this movie. They just have a set of plans on how they want to market this film. There's going to be products that come out. There's going to be posters and standees, and things are going to come out as they planned, as they have a marketing team that pushes things out and plans things out in a certain way. Let's not forget that they have a whole summer called the Summer of Superman. Now, granted, it's not solely for the movie. It's to celebrate Superman as a whole, as a character. But a big portion of that is going to be dedicated to the Superman movie. They have plans. They're not ashamed. They're not, worried about this movie at all. It's fine. People need to relax. It's coming. People are going to be excited about it. He looks great. Every time we see something new with him in it, he just looks better and better. And that is the exciting thing about all of that. What do you guys have to say over here, though? Do we have anybody else that's joined? We got Hunter Iggy in here. He says, "Hey Slav, what's up? What's going on?" We got anybody else? Donovan says, "Feels like the calm before the storm." CinemaCon. I think I said that one already. Yeah, I did say that one. Derpy says, "Watch out for them bloodbenders tonight, y'all." I don't know what that means. Trayvon says, "Hot take: Superman will be so beloved by the masses that it leads to a baby boom." And if you catch my drift, interesting. Let's see. Donovan also says, "I was saying this yesterday, but right now Superman is the most talked about movie. Good, bad, all talk for Fantastic Four and Jurassic World just disappeared." Yeah, I mean, I said that the other day also, that people seem to not realize that there is a lot of talk for Superman, and there's a lot of positive talk, and yeah, there is negative talk, but the negative talk is just from people that are trying to bash it, trying to just push it down as much as they can because they want something else. They're not bashing it because there's any real reason to bash this movie besides the fact that they only have a personal vendetta against James Gunn in this movie. So really, all they're doing when they're doing that is they're just helping spread the word that there's a Superman movie coming. That's all they're doing. And then people hear about it and then they're going to watch the trailer and be like, "Oh, snap, this looks awesome." But yeah, there is a lot more talk going on about Superman than Fantastic Four or Jurassic World. And that is exciting. That is cool. That's exactly what we want to see. Absolutely. Kevin Davis, how's it going, sir? Says James Gunn is making this all about himself when come to DC Studios instead of let his work speak for him. That's not a good thing at all. Kevin, I want to know how you could even ascertain that. If you're going to say the picture with Edie Gathegi, he's a director behind the scenes with his actor and probably directing his actor on the scene. And somebody snapped a picture and he was celebrating his birthday and posted a picture of Edie Gathegi and Lois Lane, but Edie Gathegi saying happy birthday. He's then at the Puppy Bowl promoting. Now, Crypto's not a real dog. It's a CG dog, so you can't have Crypto at the Puppy Bowl. So yes, he's there talking about the inspiration for Crypto in this movie, which was his dog, which is perfectly fine. And really, there's only a handful of people that were like, "Oh, that's ridiculous." Okay. Then you have the teaser trailer. That was all Superman in that movie, or in that trailer. Let's face it. I mean, there was more Superman in that trailer than anything else. So when you take a look at the marketing, where's it all James Gunn? Just because he talks on the internet more than Walter Hamada did, or Kevin Tushihara, or more than Kevin Feige ever has from the MCU, that doesn't mean he's making it about himself. Like, people need to calm down. Like, he is a different type of studio head. This is a studio head. Like, he's never done this before, and he's a different type of studio head, and that's okay. Like, what does it matter if he's in a picture when he shares a picture about his friend, about an actor whose birthday it is? Like, what does it matter? Oh, he was in the commercial with Shaq and David Cornsweet. Well, if you read if you take a look at that little commercial that they did, the person who was in it the most, doing the most talking, was Shaquille O'Neal. Wasn't even James Gunn. It was Shaquille O'Neal and David Cornsweet. James Gunn had the least amount of part in that commercial. Again, and James Gunn was that piece that brought those two together in that little mini story in that commercial. Again, people want to make mountains out of molehills because they want to find a reason to complain, instead of sitting back and taking a look and thinking logically about everything and sitting there and saying, "Oh, okay, there's a little story that's going in with this little commercial. Shaq doesn't know David Cornsweet, so he's going there to meet James Gunn, whom he knows. So he's going to go there and meet James Gunn, and he thinks this is a little comedy thing. Ha ha ha. David Cornsweet shows up. That's how he meets, and it's a little comedy skit, and that's okay. That's okay. But people twist it and make it what, like, it's just, again, like I said, it's people have this weird vendetta and agenda to just bash James Gunn in this studio and this DCU because it's not what they wanted to get. And that's a shame. That's pathetic. So again, I ask, tell me why you think James Gunn is making this all about him, because he's not. There is a planned marketing structure for this movie. And just because in between these releases of the marketing pieces, whether it's the trailers, the teasers, the TV spots, whatever it is, James Gunn is there. It's just he's a different type of producer. He's a different type of studio head. Let's not forget he talks about Supergirl. He talked about Lobo. He's talking about everything that's connected to the DCU. It's not just Superman. Critic Chris is here, says, hey, Slav, fellow DC fans. Trayvon's here, says, the updated list of general audience interest, awareness, and desire to see Superman in theaters is solidly number 2, while Fantastic Four is still struggling to attach itself to any of those lists. Donovan says, the fact Film Junkie changed his mind, that's big. I mean, I'm not saying it's big, but it's just showing that there's a shift with the people who have an open mind. There's people who at one point in time were like, this really isn't for me. I'm on the fence about it. But they're starting to see, as we get closer, they're starting to have a more open mind and realize, okay, this might be cool. It's only the ones that are just solely like digging their heels into the ground, like, no, James Gunn is terrible, or this is going to be stupid. I hate this because it's not Zack Snyder, or it's not this, or it's not what I want. They're the ones that refuse to have an open mind that won't change your mind. And it's ridiculous. Kevin Davis says, good reviews and audience support didn't help Sonic 3, The Fall Guy, Furiosa. They all bomb at the box office. Okay. But those are all vastly different types of movies. Sonic 3, the Sonic franchise has been pretty steady across the board. I mean, it hasn't done anything major box office gross across the board. It's just been pretty steady from start to finish, from start to now. And they're happy with what they're doing. I mean, when you take a look at the money they've spent and the kind of reaction and reception that it's gotten, they're happy with that. You take a look at Fall Guy. Fall Guy was a fine, decent film. It wasn't anything spectacular. I mean, I don't think they were expecting $1 billion movie out of it, but it did fine. It had good reception. But it wasn't good enough, and they probably aren't going to make a sequel to it. Furiosa, well, first off, that's a different story because nobody wanted that movie. Let's face it, nobody wanted that movie. Not a single person wanted a Mad Max movie that was about Furiosa. And while, what's her face? I can't remember her name right now, but while she's a fantastic actress, and I haven't seen the movie yet because I don't care. Like, I just didn't care about the character. Like, when I watched Fury Road, I was like, hey, that character's cool. But whenever they announced that they were making a movie about her, I was like, I don't care. Like, that was pretty much it. Like, I didn't care. There was nothing interesting about that character that I wanted to see a movie about her. Now, if they would have made another real Mad Max movie about Mad Max, yeah, sure, I would have been all over that, and I would have watched that. And that was kind of the audience reception to that movie and everything else. So you got to look at things as a whole on why things don't work out. And that's what I try to tell people all the time, like, especially when they come at me when like the Suicide Squad flopped. Well, you're only looking at the box office. You're not looking at why it didn't do well financially on a large scale. You're only looking at the box office was bad. Well, yeah, but it did really well with the critics, with the fans. But this is why it failed at the box office. XYZ, QRS, TUV, all this stuff is why it failed at the box office. But it did well. It did very well with the fans and the critics. And people just get upset. And they're like, well, that doesn't matter because this movie did well. Well, that movie did well because of XYZ. It's a completely different type of movie than this. Well, what about this movie? Again, it's a different movie, different factors played into it. You need to look at all factors when it comes to this stuff. Superman is a different beast. It is a completely different beast in those movies, you said, Kevin. Donovan, that Sean guy I keep talking about is so insufferable. Like, he's complaining about too little marketing, and I'm like, JFC. I'm not going to say it. Um, yeah, I mean, it, people don't realize how marketing works for movies, especially right now. I keep going back to this whole thing when it comes to comic book movies. Comic book movies are struggling as a whole. As a whole, there is no guarantee that a comic book movie is going to make over $500 million. You take a look at what happened with Captain America. You take a look at what's happened with all the MCU movies. Take a look at what happened with the DCEU movies. Sure, Deadpool and Wolverine was a flash of lightning. It was exciting, but again, you have to take a look at all the factors. Deadpool, the first two movies did very well. People like the Deadpool character. Then you bring Wolverine back after he was supposed to be gone and done and never coming back. But not just Wolverine, but Hugh Jackman Wolverine. So you take a look at all those factors. That's why it made over $1 billion and became the highest R-rated movie, box office movie ever. So you take a look at all those factors and you're like, okay, that makes sense. Comic book movies in the genre, and we've talked about this how many times on this show, in this channel, they're averaging $450 to $500 million a release. So marketing, you're not going to be doing crazy marketing stunts for a movie. You're going to come up with a plan for marketing and you're going to do it how it needs to be done. And they're following that for Superman, and it makes sense. You don't market a movie like crazy 8 months before the movie comes out. You don't market it like crazy 6 months before it comes out. Sure, you show a teaser. Sure, you maybe show a TV spot or two. You might start to put some merchandise out slowly. You might do some things on social media. But when the real marketing starts is when you hit that 4 month mark, you start to ramp it up. You hit that 2 month mark, you ramp it up. And then that last month, boom, it is full, like huge. That's how marketing works with film, with the film industry. I've been following this stuff long enough to understand, like, that's how it works with these types of films. Sometimes they adjust that. Like, you take a look at like the Avenger movies back in 2018, 2019, like that marketing, that was ramped up way beforehand because they knew those were going to be big. They knew they're going to be billion, $2 billion movies. They knew they could ramp up that marketing and get it going so they could even get more money. But that was a different time. So people need to calm down. Like, they really need to calm down. It's absurd. It's absurd. Donovan says, if you thought the teaser broke records, just wait till the official trailer. Indeed. Hunter Iggy says, Slash Free Talk, what is your thoughts on Sill live stream from yesterday? I did not watch Sill's live stream. I haven't watched a Sill video in probably 3 years, to be honest with you. So I have no idea what he said or what he's talking or what he's trying to say. Couldn't tell you. Trayvon, Robert Meyer Burnett recently stated that that the fact that Peter Safran is even being considered to replace DeLuca Abdi at Warner Brothers speaks volumes about how they see Superman internally at the studio. Very true. We're going to get into that just slightly here for the main topic. All right. I know there's a lot of comments here. I'm going to jump to the next thing here. This is kind of an interesting thing. Let me see. I'm not going to play the audio because the audio doesn't really matter. So this got a lot of attention. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really understand why. Specifically this here. Don't get me wrong. I think he looks good as the Joker. But like this scene here, like if you watch, you see how he just like walks away there? Like that's not very Joker. Like it looks really terrible. His laugh, I know the audio isn't on, so you can't hear the laugh, but the laugh isn't good. But then here talking about how great this whole thing is. I mean, it's all comedy, Batman, and people are like, "This is how DCU should handle Batman. This is a better Batman." And then you have people trying to say it's better than Snyderverse. Some people trying to say it's better than Reevesverse. Some people saying like this whole thing was all comedic. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think the look of the Joker. Let me see if I can find it here. Like, again, don't get me wrong. I think he looks cool right here. I think he looks cool. and it's a good look for the Joker. And I would be like, hey, that's a good look. I think that's the look they should go for if they do the Joker in the DCU. Absolutely. But people, the way that they're freaking out about this little commercial from State Farm is crazy to me. Like, it's all right, guys. Like, I get it. People get excited. People see something new that's DC related. And I thought it was pretty cool at first, but let's face it. I mean, maybe it's just because it's like the only Batman thing we've seen in how many years now. But honestly, I think people need to calm down. Is kind of how I need to say with that. But what do you guys think? I love to hear what you guys have to think about this. For sure. Let's see. Donovan says, "I love this ad. It's funny." Again, I think it's funny too. I just don't understand why people were losing their minds like they were about how great it is. He said, Donovan also says, just love the Joker design, not the voice lines. Exactly. I think the design's great. I don't think his laugh was that good. His delivery wasn't the best. And the way he like walked, I didn't think was good, but that's just me. But what else we got? Nothing else about it. Oh yeah. Donovan says, yeah, they're simping for State Farm. Yeah. Trayvon says, State Farm for this commercial. Clap, clap, clap. Yeah. I don't know. I just think people can calm down. It was a funny little commercial. It's fine. I don't understand. Like, I thought SZA, is that how you say that person's name? I thought that was a dude until this. They were like, SZA is Catwoman. And I was like, oh, that's a chick. You see how into music I am, like modern music I am. That's funny. Anyways, moving on. James Gunn today posted, Peter Safran, David Cornsweet, and I, talking about James Gunn, had a great time speaking in front of the wonderful folks at Warner Brothers Discovery yesterday. DC Studios, Superman. This tells me that they went there. They probably talked to Warner Brothers Discovery about, what's been going on at DC Studios, how excited they are for what's happening with DC Studios, the excitement. When you sit there and talk, when people try to sit there and say they have no confidence in David Cornsweet, they have no confidence in DC Studios, they have no confidence in Superman, they wouldn't go up in front of Warner Brothers Discovery and the three of them and talk. They wouldn't be sitting there excitedly talking about this stuff. This is showing that there is a level of confidence for Superman, for the DCU. And this is exciting. This is truly, truly exciting. I'm excited. I think more people need to get excited about this. I think it's going to be phenomenal when people start to realize, hey, all these naysayers saying what they need to do, or all these naysayers saying what James Gunn and Peter Safran feel, they don't know what they're talking about. That's it. That's all it is. But yeah, let's see. I know I skipped through a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's see. Nothing else. Okay. All right. Now I wanted to get to this, and I want to talk about this with a huge, 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 huge caveat here. All right, guys. Huge caveat. Because you all know I'm not a big fan of scoopers. And I'm definitely not a big fan of Jeff Schneider. And Jeff Snyder is the one that put this forth the other day, this rumor. Now, Real Anarchy, I guess, back in November last year, said, what if Tom Cruise is the DCU Jor-El? Thoughts? I've been fan casting him since day one. Since Tom Cruise's name is being mentioned, he says, as possible choice for Jor-El in the DCU, I thought I would repose this. I'm going to give Real Anarchy a little credit here, since he said that, if it does happen. But Jeff Snyder is saying that there are some big castings and big names that could be attached to Superman that we have not heard about yet. Tom Cruise is apparently the rumored name that could be Jor-El. Don't get me wrong. That's an interesting name and idea for it. I think it's very, very interesting. I would be shocked. I would be absolutely shocked if they went this route. The reason for it is, um, I, I what does Tom Cruise get out of it? I know he's older, and I get. I mean, maybe he is looking for a new franchise because I guess he could stick around a little bit doing it, depending on how much they utilize Jor-El throughout the series. But him being older, and I mean, if Mission Impossible is really ending, why not? He's never really been part of a superhero franchise. I guess it could work. I don't know. It's hard for me to believe. It's hard for me to believe that they could get an actor as big as Tom Cruise for this. I mean, that's a huge get. Not saying it's impossible, not saying that they didn't get it. I just think that would be a huge, huge get. A very big get. I think it'd be cool. I like Tom Cruise. I think he's a great actor. Don't like his little religion of Scientology and his connection there. But besides that, I think that this would be an awesome get. I just don't see it possible. I can see it from his perspective if he wanted to do it. I can even see it from James Gunn's perspective on being a huge actor, being a big A-list actor, and being somebody who gets pulled in. Like, hey, we got Tom Cruise in this movie. Like, that would be huge. That's almost like the Marlon Brando for the original Superman. Like, you think of how big of a name Marlon Brando was back in the 70s, and it's like, that's a huge mega movie star back then. And you got him for Superman? Like, what? Like, like the comic book Superman? Tom Cruise is pretty much the biggest movie star there is today. Like, he is still, he's one of the few actors today that people will still go to a movie for the actor. He's one of the few. So when you sit there and take a look, you kind of think like, wow, that kind of parallels that. So I can see why James Gunn and Safran would go that direction. So it's really, really interesting. So I see both sides of it. It's hard for me to believe that they could pull it off. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Not saying it's not true, not saying that it is true. I just think it'd be really hard for them to pull it off. I would like for them to, but it's also hard for me to believe Jeff Snyder. So hard for me to believe Jeff Snyder. I can't. I can't do it. Anyways, what do you guys have to say over here? Critic Chris says, I'm not gullible to believe whatever little news that comes out. Yeah, I think you also said, because I have a pinned one here, you said, I'm not buying Tom Cruise's Jor-El bit, at least till something official comes out. Superman isn't going to have Superman's origin. Well, just because it's not going to have his origin doesn't mean that there won't be some connection to Jor-El. If you have the Fortress of Solitude there, he could still have a connection to Jor-El and still be able to speak with Jor-El through the Fortress of Solitude. So don't forget that. That's still a possibility. Don't forget that. Donovan says, I have it in conference. Jor-El will be Kurt Russell. Well, didn't somebody else, didn't James Gunn debunk that? Pretty sure he debunked that. It could be wrong. Jay Kelly says, didn't Gunn actually already say that his version of Jor-El would be right around the same age as Clark? It's possible. Was that when he debunked Kurt Russell? Maybe. I don't remember. Chris, didn't people think he was going to be Tony Stark and Iron Man before RDJ was confirmed? Well, no, he was actually, it wasn't that people thought he was going to be Tony Stark. They were actually, the studio wanted Tom Cruise to be Tony Stark. Like, that's who they wanted. And Favreau wanted RDJ. And that's kind of how that went. So that's how that went. Donovan says, I'm calling it now, Kurt Russell will be Jor-El. I think that's too similar to the whole ego thing. I hope they don't do that. Well, I love Kurt Russell. Don't get me wrong. I just don't want them to do that. Jay Burns says, so there's going to be a Jor-El running scene. Man, I hope someone gets that. I get it. I get it, Jay. Don't worry. I get it. Starman says, you sound like Robin from Teen Titans. Okay. He also says, how are they going to utilize Jor-El? And I kind of just explained a little bit from the Fortress of Solitude aspect. Trayvon says, imagine hearing Tom Cruise saying, for this reason above all, their capacity for good, I've sent them you, my only son. Critic Chris, yeah, I forgot that idea of Jor-El when we've seen it in shows. Yeah, okay. Now, moving on to the big story that I want to talk about. Warner Brothers Pictures' future may hinge on Superman's success. Is Peter Safran set to leave DC Studios? Now, I talked about this. I did a video the other day, and I talked about this, but I didn't really dive into the whole aspect of the future of Warner Brothers hinging on the success of Superman. I'm more focused on the idea of Safran leaving, which in my video, if you didn't check it out, I said I don't think that Safran should leave. Not because I don't think he would do well, not because I don't think he has the ability or qualities to do it. I personally think he should finish what he kind of started with James Gunn, at least getting the DCU started. I think he and James Gunn should get these first few movies out, maybe the first few 3, 4, 5 years, get the ball rolling. And then at that time, hey, if the position's open at that point, move on over to Warner Brothers Pictures. That's what I think, because he committed to doing this with James Gunn, committed to getting this DC Studios up and running, the DCU up and running. I think he should fulfill that, because if he were to move over to Warner Brothers Pictures, it's a lateral move for him. He wouldn't be in charge of James Gunn. He wouldn't be overheading James Gunn. So, you have that going. And then James Gunn also didn't want to take the job unless he had somebody like a Peter Safran, because he doesn't want to deal with that day-to-day stuff. He isn't comfortable with that. He wants to be on the creative side. And if he doesn't have that Peter Safran there, then he wouldn't be able to do a lot of the stuff that he wants to be able to do. So that's another issue. So that's why I think he shouldn't do it right now. Not because, like I said, he wouldn't be good. Anyways, getting to this topic, though, now this is all coming from the Puck, and they're saying, according to now I'm getting this from comicbookmovie.com via the Puck, I should say. And it says, according to one studio veteran, an essential element of the stock price is believing that the IP of DC is meaningful. David Zaslav bet big that they can show the world that the DC IP can have real value. Superman is the first movie that will set the tone. They have a tremendous amount riding on it. Okay. A lot of people have taken this comment. They've taken this comment in a way of stating, oh, if Superman fails, Warner Brothers Discovery is done. DC Studios is done. Everything is done. It's finite. It's gone. No. All it says, it will set the tone. They have a tremendous amount riding on it. Yeah, they have a lot riding on it, which we've all known. I mean, we've all known this, that there's a lot riding on this movie. But that doesn't mean that this is it for Warner Brothers Discovery. That doesn't mean that's it for DC Studios. If that was it, then they wouldn't be putting Lanterns into production. Supergirl, Peacemaker wouldn't be made. They wouldn't have Clayface getting ready for production, and all this other stuff they wouldn't have ready to go into production or in production. That's where people misunderstand what's happening here. Yes, if Superman fails, if it fails, will there be some changes that happen? Absolutely. Yes, there'll be some changes. They'll move some things around. James Gunn may move out. They may move somebody back in or move somebody different in. They may change some things. They may say, James Gunn, Supergirl can't fail. Lanterns can't fail. If one of these fail or both fail, you're gone. So things may change slightly. But that doesn't mean that Warner Brothers Discovery is going to get sold. That doesn't mean that they're going to sell the DC IP immediately. That doesn't mean that Warner Brothers Discovery is going to go bankrupt. Don't forget they do have Harry Potter series coming out, which well, with what's going on there, that might not be a good thing. And they do have some other possible IPs and films that could help them as well. But that is partially why Zaslav is considering moving on from Abdi and DeLuca, because they've struggled. You take a look at Mickey 17, it didn't do too hot. You look at Joker, Dave Coulier, it didn't do too hot. You take a look at some other things. They just haven't been giving the home runs that Warner Brothers needs. So that's why Zaslav is taking a look like, okay, we're not having some hits over here, so we need to get some new leadership over here. So if we get new leadership over here, then maybe we can get some hits over here. And if Superman does well, and then we can get new leadership over here and we get some more hits over here, then our motion picture division is going to just be on the rise. And that's kind of the whole thing that he's looking at. People are looking at this as like a huge negative, and they're saying, why would you get rid of Abdi and DeLuca when they have such a great history? Well, they don't have this great history. They've had some successes, as is Peter Safran, as is many. And producers and studio heads, they have failures as well. But sometimes you have to make changes. And when it comes to Warner Brothers Discovery, yeah, they're at a point where they can't have too many failures right now. They need to look at more successes, and if they see too many failures, and if they don't see too many successes in the upcoming months and years, then they need to make that change. So that is why Zaslav is looking at this. So that's why when they take a look and say Superman, a lot hinges on Superman, it's because they take a look at what Abdi and DeLuca have coming up, and they're like, well, a lot hinges on Superman right now. And that's kind of the big deal. Again, if Superman fails, which you know me, I don't think it's going to fail. I don't. I mean, it's not going to do 200 million. It's not going to do 300 million. It's not going to do 400 million. I think it's going to do well over $600 million, which is not a failure. And as long as it does that or more and more, then they're going to sit back and say, this is what we needed to see. This is what we needed to see. And it's just going to continue. And they hope that it continues. And that's going to give them some leeway and some time. And if they do exchange out Abdi and DeLuca for somebody else, they bring somebody else in, and they maybe readjust Warner Brothers Pictures, then things will be looking up, and they won't be relying solely on DC, and the pressure will be off James Gunn and Safran a little bit. But as somebody said here when they're talking about Robert Meyer Burnett, he's right. The fact that they're taking a look at Peter Safran shows that David Zaslav has confidence and has liked what he's seeing from Safran and Gunn over at DC Studios. To me, that shows me that they're running a tight ship over there. They're doing things well within budget. They're doing things like they should be doing. And Zaslav likes what he sees. And that's a great sign. Again, I'd hate to see Safran leave DC Studios. Again, I don't think he should. But that's what it shows. And again, Superman succeeding, huge win for Warner Brothers all around. Superman failing, yeah, it's going to hurt Warner Brothers, but that doesn't mean that James Gunn is gone. That doesn't mean DC Studios is done. That doesn't mean Warner Brothers is disbanded and it just evaporates into nothing. They still have a chance. And people are, screaming, the sky is falling, and they're not there. Not yet, at least. So what are you guys saying over here? All right, we got what just happened? Where is it at? Where I just saw. There we go. Trayvon Trevon says, I'm calling it now. If Zaslav chooses to replace DeLuca Abdi, it will be with either Jeff Robinov, former president of Warner Brothers Pictures Group, or Emma Watts, former president of production of Fox. That's a possibility. That is a possibility. I mean, I think he should go from outside. I don't think he should take, like I said, I don't think he should take Safran. I do think he should go outside because I think sometimes getting somebody from outside is beneficial. You get that outside view and also new blood, new contacts, new relationships that you can pull into Warner Brothers, that kind of thing. Let's not forget that Abdi and DeLuca, they were part of that whole debacle with The Rock and Henry Cavill and everything that happened there. Like they have some bad blood that they've created some enemies over their time. Let's not forget that. Starman says, OMG, thank you for explaining that. I've been so confused on why they already started filming other stuff before Superman is a success. Well, yeah, I mean, when they start filming stuff, I mean, they're doing it because, one, they do have confidence in what's going to happen, but they also have to be willing to or understand that, hey, we have to build a universe. So we can't just release Superman and then wait 2 years for the next thing. They have to have things ready to go in the pipeline for that reason there. Now, keep in mind, Supergirl is the next movie, and Superman and Supergirl are pretty high budget films. They're both well over $100 million budgets, probably close to $200 million budgets. Superman probably a little more than Supergirl, that type of thing. When you have something like Clayface, I think there's talk like that's going to be around $60 to $70 million budget. And that's kind of how they're looking at it, is if they can, get a couple high budget films made and some lower budget type of projects done, that'll help. And that's why I think Zaslav is really impressed with what Safran and Gunn are doing, is because they're doing that type of stuff. They're, they have a couple high budget stuff, but they're doing a lot of lower budget projects as well. And that's a good sign. That's a good thing to do because that's low risk and a possible high reward. If you spend less money and it's massively successful, you get more money in return. So that's kind of why you do that kind of stuff. Trayvon says, how about splitting the operations of Warner Brother Pictures, New Line, have DeLuca Abdi oversee New Line and Robinov oversee Warner Brother Pictures? I don't think they'd want to do that. Like, you figure, like, think about this. Like, say Zaslav came up to you and you were running Warner Brother Pictures and he's like, here's the deal. You're not doing a good job. I want you to run a New Line. We're going to bring somebody else in to run Warner Brother Pictures. That's a step down. Like, do you think you'd accept that? No, you'd be pissed off and you'd probably want to leave and go somewhere else. So that's not really something they probably want to do. It would probably be better just to move on from them at that point. Chris says, whether Superman succeeds or fails, Snyderverse isn't coming back. Haters need to let that sink in, though they probably don't care. They want to ruin DC for everyone now. Very true. Hope for life. If Peter does end up leaving DC Studios, then I feel like somebody needs to get James Gunn to reach out to Slav to be the next go-ahead. I know nothing about the finances for studios. I can help be a creative mind, but I don't think that's what James Gunn needs. So. Johnny Dome Studios. Did you watch some of Aaron's recent videos? So cringe. Harsh Critic was pretty cringe too. So, like I tell you guys all the time, I don't go out of my way to watch those people's videos, unless one of you guys or somebody on Twitter says, "Hey, you need to check this out for XYZ or for this reason or that reason." I don't check it out. Now, Harsh Critic, I don't know who it was. Maybe it was you, Johnny. Somebody on one of my latest videos posted, "Hey, you need to call out Harsh Critic." So I decided yesterday, I was like, you know what? Let me go see who this Harsh Critic is. So I went and pulled up his YouTube channel and watched his latest video. So I watched his latest video, and my goodness, I thought Fisher was bad with misinformation and lies. Yeah, he was pretty bad. Now, I simply went on and I commented on his video, and I just said, "Man, this is despicable. You know, you're despicable. You know, this is really despicable. Yeah, how many lies and how much misinformation can you spout in one video?" And he did reply. And he was like, "What lies? What misinformation?" And I told him outright. I gave him 2 examples like that, and he hasn't said anything back to me because he can't. I mean, there's nothing you can say back to me whenever I simply point out the misinformation and the lies that you're trying to tell your fandom or your fans, your followers, I should say, your followers. You can't come back. You can't come back and say, "Well, this isn't a lie. This is misinformation." So I see what you guys are saying. Like, it's crazy the amount of people that are out there that just want to bash. And you know, the craziest thing about this is he is 100% not hiding the fact that he's just a Snyder fan. I mean, you see on his walls and his videos, just the Snyderverse photos, and it's crazy. But yeah, I watched his video. Gotta say I did. Jay Burns says, which is ridiculous, like DCU stuff as well, but it's done. Time to move on and excited. Yeah. You guys are talking to each other. Johnny Dome says, give DeLuca and Abdi to Disney, even though I don't like them. It will at least upgrade Disney trash currently. Hey, that Lilo and Stitch trailer looked phenomenal. All right, I'm all for that. Starman says, gosh, I hate harsh critics. Trayvon says, to be fair, New Line Cinema is where DeLuca first made a name for himself. Look at New Line's output during the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. That was all DeLuca. Yeah, I mean, I went through his movies the other day in my video, and you can see a lot of his bigger movies was late 90s, early 2000s and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it was all New Line. It really was. Starman says, I mean, the dude, harsh critics, literally dressed up in a suit and tie just to spread lies. Does he dress like that in every video? I don't know. I just watched that one video yesterday, so I don't know. Does he dress like that all the time? I mean, more power to him. If that's his character. I mean, you do what you got to do for your YouTube, right? You gotta hit that algorithm and get those views somehow. Hey, whatever. Critic Chris says, I wonder if Harsh Critic is making his videos from an office job. Is he on the clock? No, whatever, man. Oh, man, that's funny. It's funny. So what do you guys got for me? What do you guys got for me? Hope for Life says, did you see the Lilo and Stitch trailer? Yes, I did. I loved it. I thought it looked great. And I showed it to my 4-year-old daughter, and man, she's watched it, I think, 3 times now, and every single time she just laughs and giggles, and that's exactly what the reception should be for a kid her age for it. And she's never been to the movie theater before, so my plan is that's going to be her first movie that she ever goes to see is Lilo and Stitch. So I can't wait to take her to see it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going. I'm looking forward to taking her to see. I love experiencing every kid's first movie theater experience, so I'm looking forward to that as well. So I'm excited for it. Jay Burns, I watch a ton of haters just because I want to see differing opinions, but I can only watch so much. For all those haters that say wallets closed, I say wallets and minds open. That was his hashtag that he was saying. Harsh Critic saying hashtag wallets closed, I think, or something like that. And I couldn't help but laugh. It's like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, that's like, I want to just sit with these guys and just be like, what do you think is going to happen? I just want to ask them, and I want them to give me an honest answer, because what they think is going to happen is not going to happen. It's that simple. It's just absurd. Andre, how many Restore the Snyderverse anti-DCU people are there? They always talk about if they boycott the DCU, Superman will bomb. I don't think they even reach 500,000. Yeah, maybe. The thing is more and more people are catching on to their whole shtick, and they're starting to get annoyed by it. My guess is, like, the followers who watch Aaron watch Harsh Critics and also watch the 4KO and also watch what is it, the Real Shift or whatever his name is. Like I think all the same people watch those four channels. So if you ask me, that's pretty much all there are. And again, more and more people are catching on that hey, this isn't what people want. Like people are just over it. They really are. They're just over the negativity about all that stuff. So Hope for Life says, I can't wait for Lilo and Stitch movie. I'm going to take my mom to see that. Yeah, we're taking the whole family too. Critic Chris Tybone is most childish one of them all. He posts childish, grotesque images of Gunn. Anyone against Snyderverse? That's absurd. I don't know why people do that. Yeah. Trying to see if there's anything else that popped up here before we start to get out for the day. Jay Burns says, I just want comic movies to succeed. I just don't get the tribalism and hate. When the movies do great, that translates into more comic fans, which is great for comics in general. Very true. Very, very true. It's very true. I don't understand why people just hate, like how they can hate the possibility of more and exciting content. Like I said, like I always say, like, no, you may not like Superman. You may not like this movie. You don't know if you're not going to like it. You may love it. But if you don't like it, the next movie you might like. Or you may love Lantern. Or you may love Clayface. Or you may, like, you don't know. To sit there and just rag on James Gunn and rag on this stuff. And the crazy thing is some of these people that sit there and rag on this movie are people that sit there and say, well, I liked his Guardians of the Galaxy movies, but this I don't like. Obviously, I don't like. Like, what are you talking about? Like, how can you, like, get out of here? Get out of here. Come on. Andre says, just go see how many people signed the petition to restore the Snyderverse. Even the Acolyte petition has more signatures. That's funny. Jonathan Noble, how's it going? The CS director swears up and down the Snyderverse will be restored too. And another one that hashtags wallets closed. CS the detector or director, whatever. I don't know. Look, there's a lot of people who think that it's going to get restored. I've said this so many times. The further and further we get away from the what you call it, the Snyder Cut, Zack Snyder's Justice League, the less likely it's ever going to come back. That's simple. And we're pretty far away from that. Trayvon says guys like Aaron, Harsh Critics, Real Shift, Tyrone, and to a lesser extent, our movie news are really making me SOU. Critic says, Jayburn. Trayvon says, guys like, wait, I just said that. Sour on Snyder's DC movies. Okay. Oh, boy. All right, guys. This was a fun show. I enjoyed it. Let's see. Monday. Yeah, Monday I will have a show. I don't have anything on Monday. Monday I should have a show. A normal show / Street Talk podcast. So you don't want to miss that. And then next Thursday will be another Watchtower. As long as there's no big news, I want to do a kind of special Watchtower. So I don't know what we're gonna do yet. So I have an idea. But if you guys have any ideas, let me know. Let me know in the comments or in the community or something like that. But I have an idea. I think I know what I want to do next Thursday. So keep an eye out for that. And oh yeah, one thing I do want to show here before I get out of here. One more thing, guys. I want to do this. So I don't know if you saw this. I put this up on X today. So with Superman Day being April 18th, I want it, obviously Warner Brothers, DC Studios, all them, they're going to push this to be a celebration for Superman. I want all of us, my community that we all hang out here, our community here. It's not even my community; it's our community. This is a great community here. I want us all to take this day, April 18th, to be a celebration, but I want us to just come in united. Like I don't want any fighting. I don't want to see fighting. I don't want us to like that specifically that day. Like let's just make it a huge day of celebration for Superman that day. Use the hashtag Superman all day long. Post about your favorite things about Superman. What's your favorite Superman? What's your favorite Superman movie? Your favorite Superman moment? Your favorite Superman comic? All that stuff on April 18th. I just think it'll be a lot of fun. Maybe just really get into it because I think if we start really just throwing that positivity towards Superman, it's going to help a lot and just show people like, hey, there's a lot of positivity with the DC fandom than the negativity that this other side does. But again, who cares about the negativity? Focus on the positive side of things. And that's what I want to do on April 18th during Superman Day. And look, we may get a teaser or trailer. We may get a poster. We may get something from James Gunn that day. I'm sure we'll get something. So whatever it is, I'm excited for it. We should all be excited for it. But let's keep the hype up and be as positive as we can. Even if we get something and that other side is just harshing on it and being negative about it, ignore it. Ignore it. Stay positive. That's all I'm saying because it is a day of positivity, excitement, and celebration for Superman. So I want to keep pushing that for the next few weeks until that day. We keep that in mind. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here now. Have a good night and see you all next week. Thank you all for being here. Um, and Jay Burns says that'll be great every day Superman Day for me. Andre says sharing inspiring clips from the Superman animated shows and movies that would be a great trend. Yeah, doing stuff like that. Exactly. Just be as positive and as excited as you can on April 18th, which is Superman Day. So again, I'll keep reminding everybody every week for that. It should be fun. So don't, yeah, everything that day. So it'll be fun. All right, guys. Like I said, I'm getting out of here. Thank you all for watching, and I will put you all next week, guys. Take it easy.
So if you're a fan or you're just getting started, come on up to the Watchtower where the fun never parted. From Superman's cape to Green Lantern's ring, we're talking